How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Donovan Wagner, and today we're going to talk about why you need to be using filters when you're shooting automotive content. Now we're going to cover circular polarizer filters and neutral density filters and why each of these are such great tools for automotive photography. So let's go. Alright guys, so if you're anything like me, you've probably heard it about 100 times, 1,000 times. Use filters when you're shooting cars. And I've always been told this, but for some reason, my filters would just end up in my bag or at home, and I wouldn't take the 2 seconds to put it on my lens whenever I was shooting cars. Now, part of that was because I just really didn't understand what the benefit was. So today we're going to cover the benefits of circular polarizer filters and neutral density filters when you're shooting cars. So the biggest benefit to using a circular polarizer filter is that it eliminates glare and reflection. And we all know that when you're shooting cars and trucks and SUVs, they are full of glare and reflection because they're made of these shiny paints and they're glass and everything else that goes with it. So when the sun hits it, or you have other cars or light posts and things that are coming up in the reflections in the paint, it's frustrating. And oftentimes you get home, you look at your photos and it's an awesome picture, but it's really, really hard to edit those kind of things in post-production, especially glass. So when you put the circular polarizer on your lens and you actually rotate it, you'll see it cut through the reflections in the glass and the paint. So you have to turn it until you find the sweet spot that works best for the shot you're taking. If you are on a tripod, you can take multiple photos and turning the polarizer filter each photo and merging them in Photoshop. But for today, I'm going to just cover the basics, you guys, and using the circular polarizer, find what looks best to you. Oftentimes, it's going to be the windshield and front quarter of the car. So that is the biggest perk, I would say, is cutting glare and reflections. So the second benefit to using a circular polarizer filter is it really pulls the colors out of the car. It really helps saturate things without doing it in post-production, and the colors just look so much richer, especially not only in the car, but actually in the sky as well. So if you're dealing with a nice pink sunset, or you have a nice blue sky day, it really helps make those colors just look so rich. Now the third reason I love using circular polarizer filters is because they are adjustable. So if you get an adjustable circular polarizer filter, no matter what you're shooting or where you're shooting or when you're shooting, you can make it work for you. All you need to do is keep it on your lens, and when you look through your viewfinder or you're looking at the back screen, just turn it until you find whatever works. There's always going to be a situation where it's not perfect, but it's always going to help eliminate 1 or 10 problems for you. So that's the circular polarizer side of things. Now let's talk about neutral density filters. This is another type of filter you've probably been told to get. And the reason they're so important is because when you're shooting automotive content, especially myself, if I'm doing rolling shots or stuff that requires the shutter speed to be lower, you often have to compensate for that by really cranking your f-stop way up high, often to the max, f16, f32, and it just doesn't look as good. So how do you maintain the sweet spot of your lens between, f4 and f11 without overexposing it with the slow shutter speed? Neutral density filters come in handy there because it's basically like putting sunglasses on your lens. So you can eliminate how many stops of exposure that you want. They make variable neutral density filters, which also, like the circular polarizer, you can rotate and find however dark you want to go. But with those, they are a little bit cheaper and the optics aren't as great. And once you hit the maximum darkness, a lot of times you'll get a vignette or an X through the photo. So it's not always the best solution. So if you are going to get a neutral density filter, I would recommend getting one that's a fixed darkness. So you're probably asking why both filters can't be combined into one. And well, somebody's already come up with that. So I've gone with the PolarPro system, which is a neutral density filter that also has a circular polarizer filter on the front of it. Now there are other manufacturers of this, but I found this one to be really well marketed towards me, and it is awesome. It works, it's like it was just made for automotive photographers. Even though it has a lot of benefits with landscape photography, it really thrives in the automotive world. So why I love using this filter so much is because now I can slow my shutter speed down without overexposing it, while also having the ability to rotate the circular polarizer to cut glare on windshields, paint, etc. So now my rolling shots went from looking like this to now looking like this. And it's honestly because of this one tool. So that's why you have to be using filters if you want to take your automotive photography to the next level, and you will not regret this decision. You guys will see such tremendous differences in your photos, and so will everybody else. If you guys need any suggestions for filters, hit me up in the comments below. They don't have to be expensive if you're just starting. I started with an Amazon Basics circular polarizer, and it was dirt cheap and it worked great. Start with that, guys, play around with it, see what it does for the photos, and then invest in better quality ones down the road. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching today, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.